Hi, Wendy Lee here, and I'm excited to sit with you for the next 25 minutes. And let me just make sure that you're in the right place, okay? If you've ever looked at your bank account and thought, Lord, there has to be more than this, you're in the right place. Or if you've ever felt that tension between loving Jesus, working hard, making decent money on paper, and still feeling one emergency away from disaster, this conversation is for you. So we're going to talk about three big things. Number one is why most Americans are set up to fail financially, even if they're good people who love God and work hard. The simple framework that I use to help families make, manage, and multiply money with wisdom. And finally, how Prosper in the Kingdom gives you a way to not only fix your own finances, but also earn income helping other families too. So by the end of this, you'll know if this is something that you want to explore further as either a client, as an agent with us, or maybe both. So let's dive in. So first, why are we even having this conversation? We live in the wealthiest country in the world with more information available than any generation before us. Yet, most people retire with less than $100,000 saved. A huge chunk of Americans have no life insurance or are grossly underinsured. And finally, debt has become so normal that this bondage now feels like it's just how life is. But here's the truth. It's not that we have a character problem when it comes to money, it's that we have an education problem. So no one is actually taught how money works. No one shows a plan, right? We're not learning this stuff in school, and no one's walked with us long enough to help us follow through on executing wealth strategies. So that's the gap that Prosper in the Kingdom exists to fill. We help believers move from confusion to clarity, from survival to truly understanding stewardship, and from just enough to overflow and generosity. So quick backstory so you know who's talking to you. I'm a mom of six. I'm an entrepreneur, love Jesus, and I am a coach. And over the past decade, I've built teams in the online space, right? And I've done that with different network marketing companies. I've done that with coaching, but we've generated over $14 million in revenue online with the teams that I've built. I've hit top ranks. I've earned stages, free trips, all the fun stuff. But here's the truth. None of that matters if we skip this part. All right. Before all of today, there was this season where, and especially in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, where money came in and it went right back out, right? I made money, I spent money. I had no idea how to manage money. And like a lot of entrepreneurs, I could hustle. I could always make more, but I didn't have a financial blueprint. So everything shifted when two things happened. Number one is a mentor sat me down and actually taught me how money works and what the wealthy do to get wealthier. And number two, I got a real plan and started practicing stewardship, telling every dollar where to go with intention and prayer instead of just trying harder. And that right there can change everything. It can change your home life. It can change your stress levels, your ability to give and be radically generous. And my vision for what's possible in the kingdom when believers get this area of life in order is huge. You guys, more money in the hands of good people can do so much more good in the world and spread the gospel and just make an impact, right? The government wasn't called to take care of the orphan and the widow and the poor. That's the church's job. But we're so tied with debt that we can't do it. So at Prosper in the Kingdom, our mission is simple. We teach faith-driven entrepreneurs how to make, manage, and multiply money through stewardship that leads to building generational wealth and having radical generosity. So the kingdom flow of wealth is stewardship, leads to abundance, leads to radical generosity. So why are most people failing financially? Let's name what's actually happening. Most people are set up to fail financially because of these three gaps. Number one is no education. Schools don't teach real world money, right? They're not teaching taxes, insurance, investing, debt strategies, retirement. I think when I was in school, my personal finance class, I learned how to write a check. And I think kids are still learning that, even though we don't write checks, right? Most parents are in survival mode, not strategy mode, right? Our parents did the best they could with what they knew. In fact, my parents were always like, we don't talk about money. So, and then the church, it talks about tithing and giving, which matters, but not often about systems and strategies. Okay. Number two is there's no plan. People plan birthdays, they plan vacations, they plan your kids' sports, right? You even plan out what subscriptions you're going to get for streaming. But almost no one that we talk to has a detailed plan for debt payoff, for protection, for investing, and for retirement. And I want to tell you that hope and faith is not a strategy. We need those things, but we also need a strategy. The Bible here tells us, in fact, I was just reading today in Proverbs, right? That the one who works his hand will have plenty of food, but whoever chases fantasies lacks sense, right? That's right there. I read that today. And here's the thing. We're all out there chasing fantasies with hope and faith, but not actually putting our hand to the plow and making things happen by understanding how money works and putting a plan in place, okay? The third thing is we have no coaching. You can Google Roth IRA versus 401k all day, right? But the information is not the same as implementation. So people need someone walking with them and helping them make decisions and stick to the plan. We need accountability. I talk about the 4 A's that will change your life, right? Is awareness, adjustment, action, accountability. Those are the things we need to be aware of what's going on with us, of where the gaps are. Sometimes we need that other person to bring us to that awareness, right? So everything starts with an awareness, and then we've got to adjust. We've got to adjust our mindset. We've got to adjust our strategy. We've got to adjust our activities. And then we've got to take action and we've got to move forward and then gain accountability for those actions, which then will bring us into more awareness. So it's this cycle, right? That helps us continue to move forward, but you've got to have someone walking with you. You've got to have that accountability. Without education, you can't build a plan. Without a plan, you can't stay accountable. And without accountability, you drift. And let me tell you, drifting is expensive. That's the money reality in America. Now let's talk about how we fix it, okay? One of the simplest ways to understand financial planning is to picture a house. You won't start building a home by installing the roof, right? You'd start with the foundation. Money works the same way. At Prosper in the Kingdom, we walk people through some key areas. We talk about protection. We actually have 6, but I'm going to talk about these 4 real quick. We have protection, right? That's the foundation. And then you have debt strategy. That's cleaning up the leaks. Then you have your saving and investing. That's building the walls. And then you've got your multiplication and income, which is putting on the roof. So let's walk through each of these real quick. First thing being protection. This is your financial foundation. All right. There are 3 main threats to your income: debt, sickness, and disability, which I'm going to say, or death. Okay. So if something happens to you and your income stops, bills don't stop. Love doesn't stop either, which is why protection is such a powerful form of love, okay? So what is protection? It includes things like life insurance, disability coverage, critical illness, right? Emergency savings, and your basic legal and estate planning. Stewardship isn't just, do I give? And how much do I give? Oh, give your 10%, right? Stewardship is not legalism of give 10% and everything else will work out, right? You also have to take care of everything God's entrusted you with, including the people in your life. So protection is a part of that. So that's the foundation. Next is debt, right? Debt strategy. We've got to stop the bleeding. Debt is like financial cancer. It eats away at your potential, blah, 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 blah. If I can get this out, I'm not going to edit this. It eats away at your potential quietly, drip by drip, interest payment by interest payment. Okay. And most people don't even realize that they're sending thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to lenders over time. Even the little 4 payment plans, and we're just going to charge you 10% interest or a $2 fee or a $10 fee. This stuff eats away at your wealth. It is not good stewardship. And debt are the chains that I believe the enemy has used to keep the church from being the blessing we're supposed to be. And I mean, the church is the collective body, right? So with a proper strategy, you can lower interest where possible. You can restructure certain debts. You can use the debt snowball or avalanche methods to get your debt paid off quicker by paying the same amount, just restructuring it. And you can pay things off in a fraction of the time. When you free up those payments, you don't just have more money, you now have seed that you can plant into the future. So now let's talk about saving and investing. All right. There's a rule out there that I never heard of till I started in this industry, the rule of 72. So once protection is in place and real debt strategy is moving, we talk about growing wealth. And you guys, we don't do the baby steps where you do one thing and once you get this perfect, then we move on to the next thing. And once that's all done, we move to the next thing, because one of the most powerful things that you have is time. So here's one of the simple concepts that literally most people have never even heard explained, which is the rule of 72. So take whatever interest rate you're earning, divide that number, or divide 72 by that number. So 72 divided by whatever your interest rate. And that gives you an estimate of how many years it will take for your money to double. So let me give you an example. A 4% interest, right? Some of you are getting these high yield savings accounts, which I think they're just making up for the inflation right now, that are 4%. Okay, so 72 divided by 4, because it's 4%, takes 18 years to double. Okay, at 8%, 72 divided by 8 equals 9. So it takes 9 years for your money to double at 8%. 12%. Okay. Now the gurus out there will say that you get 12% in mutual funds, putting your money in the S&P 500. That's not really the case. But let's say you get 12%. 72 divided by 12 equals 6. 6 years to double your money. So same person, same amount of money saved, different growth based on where and how that's invested. So the point isn't that you chase crazy returns. The point is that placement matters. And so tax treatment matters too. We talk about tax now, tax later, tax free later. Okay. So stewardship is going to ask, where should I put each dollar so that it can do the most good for my family and for the kingdom? All right. And so we at Prosper in the Kingdom help you walk through that and figure out where to get the most bang for your buck. All right. So now let's talk about the roof, multiplication and income streams. So once the foundation is laid, debt is being handled, investing is in motion, we want to talk about multiplication. So this is where extra income streams can come in. So side business, residual income, investing income, agency and ownership models. So not all income is created equal. This ties to something Robert Kiyosaki talks about. I love this, which is the cash flow quadrant. Many of you have heard this before, right? The employee, you trade time for money. The self-employed, you still trade time for money, but you get to control a little bit more of it, right? You are employed by yourself. Then you have the business owner, which is where you build systems and teams so your income can grow beyond your hours. So you're not just trading time for money, you're actually leveraging systems and processes and teams so you can make money while you're not working. And then the investor is where your money works for you. So going back real quick to us helping you put your money in certain vehicles, it's not just investing. That investing is where your money starts making money. Your money's at work while you're not. Okay. So that's the investor. Most people stay stuck in the ES side, right? The employee, self-employed their whole lives. Okay. They think, oh, I want to be a business owner, but they're just self-employed. So our goal at Prosper in the Kingdom is to help believers move intentionally from that to the business investor side. okay, in a way that aligns with your calling and with your values. So this is where the prosper in the kingdom as an opportunity comes in. What does that mean? So far we've talked about the problem in America when it comes to money and understanding money, the framework we use to help families, and why this matters spiritually and practically. So let's talk about how this becomes an opportunity for you. So Prosper in the Kingdom is a faith-driven financial agency. So what that means in plain language is we educate families about money from a stewardship perspective. We help them put in place those things we talked about: proper protection, debt structure, pay off the debt, investing strategies in place using reputable financial tools. And then we train our agents to do the same thing, either part-time or full-time. So you in this learn how to fix your own finances and elevate, right? Elevate in that area, help other families create financial stability and freedom, and get paid for the value that you bring. So I want to unpack that. All right. So as an agent with Prosper in the Kingdom, here's what you do. You have conversations with families and individuals about their goals, about their current situation, and the stress points. And then we use a simple financial blueprint. A process. We meet twice on Zoom and we see where you are and where you want to go. And then we come back together and we show you how to get there. We show you options for things like protection, for debt strategies, for long-term saving and investing. So with Prosper in the Kingdom, you get to partner with an established, with Prosper, there's too many P's in what I'm saying. With Prosper in the Kingdom, you get to partner with established financial companies. So we work with over 80 different suppliers, okay? So names you've heard of in the investment world, in the protection world, we work with companies you've heard of to implement solutions for you. So we get to pair you up. We're not captive, meaning we work for one company and we only sell their products. We get to pick what's best for our clients, all right? And then we get paid by those companies when business is placed. So we don't get paid. This is what I love about our business model is our clients are not paying us money. Okay. John, our founder, likes to talk about it like a realtor, right? A realtor, when you're buying a house, that realtor takes you around to all these different houses and you look at them and you never pay that realtor a dime. The seller's paying them, right? For selling their house. And so what we do is we pair you up with financial products that fit your goals based on our expertise and looking at those different areas. And when you put your business with them, they pay us marketing dollars. Okay. So you are not expected. So I want you to hear this. I knew nothing about money when I started this. I got my own financial plan. I was so blown away. I was like, I want to help other people. Okay. You are not expected to be a financial genius from day one. We train you, we plug you into a system, and you can start part-time alongside whatever else you're doing. I love Jim Rohn's one of my favorite speakers when it comes to just building businesses. And he talks about working your full-time job and then starting something part-time. Hey, let's make an extra $1,000 a month. And then you can say, hey, I work a full-time job, but in this part-time thing, I'm making an extra $1,000 a month, right? And then work your way to where your part-time thing is making you just as much money at your full-time thing. In fact, that's how I got into entrepreneurship. I heard a woman say, I work full-time and I make 6 figures and I make more money in the nooks and crannies of my life doing this business over here. And I was like, sign me up, right? It's a powerful story. We want you to do that. If you work full-time, we're not telling you to quit your job. We're telling you we're going to come alongside you, help you build this in the background so that you can say, hey, I make more money in my side gig than I do in my full-time gig. And then eventually it becomes pointless to keep your full-time gig. And then you can walk away and fire your boss. But a few reasons this space that we're talking about, this financial services, is so unique is it is literally recession resistant. People always need financial guidance, protection, and strategy. In fact, when things go downhill in the world financially, people want to tighten up more and go, what can I do? How can I be more smart? All of a sudden, when it's a booming economy, people are like, I'm spending, right? We become all consumer heavy and we're spending and we're doing all the things. And then when recession hits, everyone's like, let me tighten up, button up, and make sure I'm doing the right things. All right. So we are truly recession proof. And the work that you do often pays you upfront, and then there's some residual. Okay. A lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it. And so, and you're building something that becomes an asset. So your book of business, you own. You have ownership of that. This isn't where you're with a company and when you leave, you don't have your clients anymore. You own your book of business with ongoing income. Okay. And you're serving in an area that deeply affects people. It deeply affects marriages. Think about what's the number one reason people get divorced in America? It's around money. You're affecting families and future generations. So most side gigs pay you once and that's it. Or if you're in network marketing, you get some residual, but you don't own that. That company shuts down. You're done. You're toast. We've seen that over and over again, right? And you trade a piece of your time. You get a paycheck. The cycle continues. In the financial space, a single relationship with a family can create impact for decades and generate some ongoing income as their needs and plans grow. And so also, we have the opportunity for you to build your own agency within the agency. So within Prosper in the Kingdom, you can build your own team and create leveraged income as you're training up other people to do what you're doing. Okay. And if you're ready to go and you're like, I don't know all the things and I still want to bring people in, we train them for you. All right. But this is true residual and passive income that you can build here, as well as the active income. And it's not hype. Right? It's just math tied to long-term relationships. So let's talk about time freedom and flexibility. For a lot of people, the most emotional part of business isn't the money, it's the time. Okay. When you build a business that isn't locked to a clock, you can be at your parents' side when they're sick. You can attend the kids' events without asking for permission. You can take a random Tuesday off and not be terrified. Because this is why I personally walked into entrepreneurship. I had 3 kids at home at the time. I now have 6, but I had 3 kids at home when I walked into entrepreneurship. And I was like, I am tired of people telling me when I can and can't be there for my kids. My kids are worth me figuring this out. Listen, money is important, but time is priceless. It is the one thing that you will never get more of. Okay. So the goal here is not to create a new hamster wheel for you. The goal is to help you build something flexible, something leveraged, and something meaningful where you can make not just an income, but an impact. All right. So who is this for and who's it not for? I want to be super clear because this matters. Prosper in the Kingdom is for you if you're a believer who wants to make your money life line up with your faith. Okay. If you care about people and can have honest and empathetic conversations, if you're coachable and willing to learn, even if finance isn't your background, if you're hungry for more margin, more impact, and more freedom for your family, and if you're willing to put in the work, not chase lottery ticket fantasies. In fact, going back to Proverbs that I had open, it says, whoever chases, I just read it earlier, whoever chases fantasies lacks sense, right? So this isn't about chasing fantasies. This is about putting in the work, helping God's people, and reaping the reward, reaping what you sow. So Prosper in the Kingdom is not for you if you're looking for a quick, easy, done for you, get rich thing, okay? P.S. None of those are sustainable, all right? It's not for you if you don't actually care about serving families and you just want a paycheck. We do right by families. There's a lot of people in the financial space that they care more about the money going in their pocket than what's coming back to you. We are not them, okay? It's not for you if you're not willing to study, grow, and submit your money life to God, all right? We are building a culture of stewardship, of integrity, of excellence, and of radical generosity. So if that resonates, keep listening. We're almost done. When you lock arms with us, you're not thrown into the deep alone. You get education, all right, on money, tax basics, protection, debt strategies, investment concepts, all taught in plain language. You're going to get licensing guidance. So you do need a license to get paid in our industry. So we will support you as you work through that process, whatever's required for your state. You're going to get proven scripts and frameworks. So how to invite, how to present, how to follow up without being pushy or weird. We teach you all that. John has, our founder has a great background when it comes to face-to-face marketing and getting referrals and LinkedIn. I'm really heavy in teaching on how to build your business on social media with Facebook and Instagram and even TikTok, right? We have frameworks to help you. We have word tracks to help you start the conversation and plug them in. Okay. We have ongoing mentorship. You're connected to leaders who have already walked this path and are building in real time. And then you have community. You're not the only one building something out there. There's an entire group. We call it the collaborative operation of environment, the COE. We all lean in on our strengths and help pick up the slack where other people are weak. Okay. And here's the beautiful part. Even if you decide later that this business isn't for you, you can walk away with a world-class financial education and a blueprint for your own family. So that alone is worth looking into. All right. So which one are you walking towards? Let's future pace just a little bit. I want you to fast forward in your mind 3 to 5 years. So scenario 1, nothing changes. Same income, same stress. Every time an unexpected bill hits, same, I'll deal with this later feeling around retirement, college, debt, same quiet fear when you think about your aging parents or your own health. Or scenario 2, you decide to press in and learn this. You understand exactly where your money's going. Your debt is shrinking, not growing. You're protected the right way. You can trust that your family is safe and protected. Your investments are growing according to plan. You have additional income streams or multiple that you own, not your boss. And you're able to give more, bless more, and live with more peace. So same you, same God, different choices. So the question I want to ask is not, I don't want you to be asking yourself, can I do it? Right? But I want you to say, am I willing to learn and step out? All right. So there's 2 main ways to move forward. We can just start with you becoming a client, going through and getting your own financial blueprint, right? If you're sitting here thinking, Wendy, my finances are a mess. I need to get my own house in order first. Perfect. So your next step is really simple. It's just book a financial blueprint session with our team. So we call it a wealth map. Book a wealth map call. All right. In that, we're going to look at where you are. And where you are, meaning income and expenses, investments, your assets, your liabilities, right? Your protections, what you have in place today. Then we're going to clarify your goals. What are you looking to achieve long-term? Where do you want to end up, right? And we're going to put together a plan and show you what's working and what's not. And we're going to outline strategies for you around protection, debt, saving, getting your money growing, right? No pressure, no shame, just clarity. So you'll see a link after this video to schedule that call. All right. Option 2, if you're watching this and something in you is saying, like, this is speaking to me, I want to learn this and I want to help others, and I'd love to earn some income while doing it, then your next step is this. You're going to book an opportunity call with me and our team. Okay. On that call, we'll discover, or just not discover, you'll discover, we'll cover what the day-to-day looks like being an agent on our team, what the time commitment is, what the expectations are. We'll go through the licensing process, what that looks like, how compensation works in this industry, and whether this is truly a fit for your calling and your season of life. Again, zero pressure. This is about alignment, not arm twisting. I always say, if I have to talk you into it or drag you into it, I got to drag you through it, and I ain't about that. Okay. So, and here's the thing. A lot of people do both. They get their own financial plan and then they begin exploring the business side too. That's what happened to me. I learned as a client, and then I said, I want to help others go through the same process that I just went through. And that's powerful, because when you do that, you're not speaking from theory anymore, right? You're speaking from your own transformation. So final thoughts here. You were not created to live in constant financial stress. You just weren't. You were not created to spend your whole life trading time for money with nothing to show for it at the end. You were created to steward the time and the resources that God has placed in your hands to provide for your family, to fund kingdom work, and to leave a legacy that outlives your own timeline. Money is not the most important thing. I want you to hear this. We're prosper in the kingdom. We are not the prosperity gospel. Okay. Jesus is the most important thing. But money touches almost everything that is important: our marriage, our kids, our health, our mission, our time, our impact. And prosper in the kingdom exists because of the believers that are here that need to rise up and say, I am done living at the mercy of a broken financial system. I'm going to learn, I'm going to steward, and I'm going to help others do the same. So if that's you, here's your simple next move. Click the link to either get your financial blueprint or set up an opportunity call, or do both. Pick a time that works for you, answer a few quick questions, and we will connect. So I want to thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for caring about your family's future. And thank you for being willing to think differently than the world around you. I am so excited to see what God does with your yes. So we'll talk soon.